Welcome. Take a moment now to slow your breath. Let the worries of today dissolve like mist in morning light. This time is for you, a space of calm and restoration. Tonight, we journey back thousands of years to a quiet desert under starlit skies, where the story of one man's faith begins. A man named Abram, later called Abraham. His life began in the comfort of home. But his journey was about stepping into the unknown. And through it all, through fear, doubt, waiting, and wonder, a promise was spoken. A promise that would echo across generations. A promise that still whispers today. So close your eyes if you wish, and come with me to the ancient lands, where the voice of God spoke into one man's heart and changed the world. Let us begin. In a land called Ur of the Chaldeans, a man named Abram lived with his family. Ur was a city of wealth, of culture and tradition. It was familiar, comfortable, secure. Abram was not poor. He had land. He had livestock. He had servants. He had his wife, Sarai. He was respected, rooted. And yet, something stirred within him. Something calling. It was not a voice anyone else could hear. It came not with thunder, but as a gentle presence, a holy stillness. And one day, God spoke. Abram, leave your country, your people, your father's household, and go to the land I will show you. Leave. Leave all you've known. Step away from the familiar. Walk in faith. No map. No plan. Only a promise. And what was that promise? I will make you into a great nation. I will bless you. I will make your name great. And you will be a blessing. All peoples on earth will be blessed through you. This was no small whisper. This was destiny. And Abram believed. So he left. He gathered his belongings. His wife Sarai, his nephew Lot, and all their possessions. The tents were packed. The flocks were herded. The servants prepared. And Abram stepped into the unknown. He was 75 years old. Most begin to settle at that age. To rest. To look back. But Abram walked forward. Step by step through dry lands and open skies. The sun high. The road long. The future unclear. They crossed into Canaan, a land of wild hills and broad plains, where foreign tribes built strongholds and cities of stone. There, God spoke again. To your offspring, I will give this land. And Abram built an altar. Not a throne. Not a house. An altar. He worshipped. He gave thanks. He paused and trusted. From place to place, he journeyed. Bethel, Shechem, Negev. And wherever he went, he paused. To build. To remember. To trust. Even when famine came. Even when he had to go down to Egypt. He did not forget. He wandered. But he was not lost. He waited. But he was not abandoned. He held on to the promise. Even when it felt distant. Years passed. Seasons changed. And still no child. No heir. Abram grew older. So did Sarai. And one night, as the stars spread across the desert sky, God came again. In a vision, Abram heard the voice of the Almighty. Do not be afraid, Abram. I am your shield, your very great reward. But Abram, honest and weary, replied, Sovereign Lord, what can you give me? I remained childless. His heart ached. He had wealth. He had land. But the one thing he longed for was still missing. And then God took him outside. "Look up at the sky," he said. "Count the stars, if you can. So shall your offspring be." Count the stars? They stretched beyond sight. Millions upon millions, scattered like jewels across the night. And in that moment, Abram believed. He didn't understand. He couldn't see how. But he trusted. And the Lord was pleased. God asked Abram to prepare a sacred offering. He brought animals: a cow, a goat, a ram, a dove, and a young pigeon. He laid them out as instructed. And as the sun began to set, a deep sleep fell over Abram. A thick darkness. A holy stillness. And in that darkness, God spoke. "Know this, Abram. Your descendants will be strangers in a land not their own. They will be enslaved and mistreated for 400 years. But I will punish the nation they serve. And afterward, they will come out with great possessions." This was not just a promise of blessing. It was a prophecy. A roadmap of history to come. Then, a strange thing happened. A smoking firepot and a blazing torch appeared among the offerings. They passed between the pieces. Not Abram. Only God. In ancient times, both parties in a covenant walked between the pieces. But here, only God walked through. God was saying, "I make this promise, and I will fulfill it. Even if you fail, Abram, I will keep my word." It was a covenant of fire. A bond of grace. Unbreakable. Waiting in the wilderness, approx 600 words. Time passed. The stars still shone in the night sky. But still, no child had come. Sarai, Abram's wife, watched each year go by. Her hands, once soft with youth, grew lined from time and labor. Her heart, tender with longing, grew heavy with silence. And one day, Sarai came to Abram. She spoke not in anger, but with sorrow. "The Lord has kept me from having children," she said. "Go, take my servant Hagar. Perhaps I can build a family through her." It was a custom of the time, a way for a legacy to continue. But it was not born of faith. It was born of ache, and of waiting too long. Abram agreed. And so, Hagar, Sarai's Egyptian maidservant, was given to him. And she conceived. But what began as a solution quickly became something else. Tension rose between the two women. Jealousy, distance, pain. And Hagar ran. She fled into the desert. Alone. Pregnant. Afraid. The wilderness was vast. The air dry and hot. The sky endless and indifferent. She reached a spring and collapsed beside it. And there, in her loneliness, the angel of the Lord appeared. A soft voice. A gentle presence. "Hagar, servant of Sarai, where have you come from? Where are you going?" Her voice cracked with honesty. "I'm running away." And the angel said, "Go back to Sarai and submit. For I will increase your descendants so greatly. They will be too many to count." And then came the word she never expected. "You are now with child. You will have a son. You shall name him Ishmael. For the Lord has heard of your misery." And Hagar, stunned and seen, whispered a name. "You are the God who sees me." And the place became sacred. A place where a servant girl was seen. Where the forgotten were remembered. Where grace met grief. She returned. And soon she gave birth to Ishmael. Abram was 86 years old. More years passed. Abram now neared 100. Sarai, nearly 90. Still no child from her womb. Still only waiting. Then, once more, God came to Abram. This time not in a vision, but standing before him. I am God Almighty. Walk before me faithfully and be blameless. Then I will make my covenant between us. And Abram fell on his face. God continued. You will no longer be called Abram, but Abraham, father of many nations. A new name. A new identity. A deep transformation. Then he spoke of Sarai. Her name will be Sarah, and I will bless her. She will bear you a son. Abraham laughed. Not with scorn, but with wonder. Shall a child be born to a man who is 100? Shall Sarah, at 90, bear a child? But God was clear. Yes. Your wife Sarah will bear you a son, and you shall call him Isaac. I will establish my covenant with him. And as a sign of this covenant, Abraham and every male in his household was circumcised. A permanent mark. A symbol of promise. A reminder etched into the flesh of God's faithfulness. Not long after, 3 mysterious visitors came to Abraham's tent. He greeted them with humility, offering water, bread, and rest beneath the trees of Mamre. They sat in the shade, eating a simple meal prepared by Sarah's hands. Then one of them said, "Where is your wife Sarah?" "There, in the tent," Abraham replied. And the visitor said, "I will return to you next year, and Sarah your wife will have a son." Inside the tent, Sarah heard, and she laughed. Not loud, not mocking, but quietly to herself. "After I am worn out, and my Lord is old, shall I now have this pleasure?" But the Lord heard her laugh, and he asked, "Why did Sarah laugh? Is anything too hard for the Lord?" Sarah, startled, denied it. "I did not laugh," she said. But the Lord gently answered, "Yes, you did." It was not a rebuke. It was a smile, a quiet understanding. And behind that understanding, a promise still stood. The year passed, and just as God had said, Sarah conceived, and in her old age, she bore a son. Laughter filled the camp. The impossible had happened. The quiet promise had bloomed. Abraham named him Isaac. Isaac meaning he laughs. And Sarah said, "God has brought me laughter, and everyone who hears about this will laugh with me." It was no longer the laughter of disbelief. It was joy. Pure, radiant, impossible joy. Abraham held the child in his arms, withered hands cradling new life. He remembered the stars, the journey, the waiting, the ache, and now, the fulfillment. God had not forgotten. The promise had been kept. And so the story of Abraham becomes our story too. A story of waiting, of walking without knowing, of listening for whispers of hope. When everything seems still, perhaps you, too, are somewhere between promise and fulfillment. Perhaps you, too, have walked a long road, wondering if joy will ever come. But like Abraham, and like Sarah, you are seen, you are known, you are remembered, and the stars still shine. The promises still stand, and joy is coming. So now, take a deep breath. Let your heart rest. You are not forgotten. You are part of something ancient, beautiful, and good. The God who spoke to Abraham is still speaking today, and his promises are sure. Good night. and may peace remain with you.